I invite everyone to sit upright and gently close your eyes. And you might want to use your both hands, bring the mind and body togetherness and just touch on your heart. And also this moment, if you're going through a difficult times and you need a clear solution to resolve the problem that you're facing, this is the moment that you also can send your energies and love. So we will chant Namo Valokiteshvaraya Bodhisattva, meaning the great compassion Buddha, and the Buddha who had attained perfection of listening. And we send energies to Kursa Father at this moment. You know what her father name? Namo Valokiteshvaraya. Namo Valokiteshvaraya. Namo Namo Valokiteshvaraya. Homage to the Bodhisattva of great compassion who attained perfection of listening. We evoke your name to send our energies, our love to Teresa Father, who at this moment is in ill condition. May he overcome all medical issue so that he may soon recover and be well and peace. Namo Valokiteshvaraya Bodhisattva. Dear friends, today is Sunday morning, October 12, 2025, and we are at Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Bay County. It's my pleasure and joy to be invited this morning to share on the topic of cultivating compassion. In the Buddhist practice, it's essential to cultivate compassion in order for wisdom to manifest. In all our chanting, the introduction always start with great compassion mantra chant and end with Prajna Paramita Sutra, with the perfection of wisdom sutra. For those who take refuge in the three jewels, with the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewels, and the Sangha jewel, the Buddha is the enlightened being, the awakened one, whose historical name is Sakyamuni Buddha. He was born 2,500 years ago in India. The Dharma jewel is the practice, the teachings of the Buddha. And the Sangha jewel is the community of bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, male and female monks, and lay Buddhists, female and male, who practice the Buddha teachings, live in harmony, awareness, and walk on the path of liberation and awakening. When someone takes refuge in the three jewels, the first training they have to receive is cultivating compassion through the 5 precepts. Or the Zen Master Thich Thanh Dieu translated the 5 mindfulness training. These 5 precepts are the training of mindfulness leading to compassion and wisdom. For those who's not familiar what all those 5 trainings are, I'd like to summarize a little bit. So you might want to reflect on it and contemplate on it as a way of cultivating compassion. The first training is refrain from killing or harming life. The practice reference for all life. It's important that we show our respect and love to all life. Just like you have an event to protect the wildlife in your agenda this year. The second training is refrain from stealing or taking someone belonging without permission, but rather practice generosity and giving. In our practice, there are three ways of giving. We can give materials, monetary, labors. We can give Dharma words, wonderful words, musical, just like this two, the father and the daughters are playing. That's Dharma in air. We can give Dharma word by singing the spirit of life. That Catherine lead the group to sing. I love that song, it's beautiful. I might have to record your voice, your lovely voice. We can practice Dhamma by coming back to find our true ancestor. Hopi is our ancestor of this country, America. So Namo word is all the wonderful elements that we present in different ways, but with the gist of love and caring and compassion, understanding. The third way is giving, is helping someone to alleviate from fear, free from fear and suffering. And that's a little bit harder. We need time and effort and many months, perhaps many years to help someone. Just like it's those who go and see psychiatrists or psychologists, they don't spend one section with you, but spend many sections with you, sometimes throughout your lifetime, in order for you to live peace and be content and not be remorse or regretful. So those are three ways that you can practice of giving. And third, mindfulness training is refrain from sexual misconduct, practice true love, and protecting children from sexual abuse. The four mindfulness training not to or refrain from lying, gossip, manipulate speech, using manipulate speech, double tongues language or speech, or using abusive language to hurt someone, but rather we speak, we practice deep listening so that we can share our loving speech. So we can speak loving words and language to share our friends and our neighbors. And the fifth mindfulness training is to refrain from refrain from consuming intoxicated items. All the intoxicated items or substances are harm to our mind and our body. And our mind is essential to lead us to in the practice. We have to have a right thinking, right views, right action. But when our mind is not clear, when our mind is being toxic, when our mind is being clouded, we can't see clear things. So we might act and think and perform harmful to yourself and others. But we practice healthy lifestyle. So those are the 5 training, and I know maybe perhaps most of you here have had reflect and have practiced in your daily life without being aware that you are in your training of mindfulness and training of compassion. And so it's as a Buddhist practitioner, we always draw in this practice so that we can cultivating compassion. But cultivating compassion is one of the 4 immeasurable minds of love. The other 3 are joy, loving kindness, and equanimity. So today we will focus on cultivating compassion. If we can focus well and train ourselves, practice compassion, cultivate compassion, the other 3 elements will fall in slowly. So don't worry. Everything will fall in order as we practice. When we have suffering, when we go through difficulties, raise no fear. Just be present with your body and mind. and just cultivate compassion, and everything will be okay. Just trusting that you just have to be patient, and you just have to believe and have faith in it. Compassion in Pali is translated as Karuna, which means the capacity to alleviate and transform suffering in oneself, in others, and all living beings. So when you're going through suffering, you're going through pain, whether physical pain or mental pain, and you know how to take care of yourself, you're patient with your body, then you know that you have compassion in you. When you have pain and you're suffering and you scream and you blame on someone, then you know your compassion is absent. It's absent. not that you don't have it, it happens, it's just absent. You know, all the wonderful elements in our body, in our alleviate consciousness, or we call stored consciousness or background consciousness, is always hidden in very deep box that need us to be aware, need our awareness in order to arise. So when we go through pain, suffering, just take a moment and look deeply into our body. Let the compassion do the work. You don't have to do anything. You just listen to your body. You just need to listen to your mind, your feelings. It will tell you. The compassion will do the work. All you need to do is be patient and practice mindful breathing. Not just 1 minute, not just 5 minutes, but it could be hours. Not in your bedroom, it could be in the yard, in your garden, here at Unitarian Church, or at Panama Monastery, or at our lovely beach in our county. It could be anywhere that you feel you can take refuge and you can be at peace. Then you come back and take care of that. Or play the music to find that. And you just need to be patient, pay attention to what you do, be mindful, and you can find that compassion. And that the minute you practice, that's the minute you are cultivating. So as we cultivate compassion, we don't need to think something big. We just need to be with our body and our mind. We need to practice mindful breathing. When we speak in compassion in Buddhist practice, everyone who practices Buddhism immediately related to Valokiteshvaraya, Bodhisattva, just like we did our chanting earlier before we started the Dharma talk. Avalokiteshvaraya means the one who knows how to listen to respond to all cries. And how she able to do that? Because she had a great compassion, and she attained perfection of wisdom. And Buddha had introduced her in the sutra. So when you come to the Buddhist monastery or temple, you will hear a lot of Namo that's how you recite in Vietnamese, or Namo Avalokiteshvaraya Bodhisattva. And because you know that when you recite Avalokiteshvaraya, and you know you are cultivating compassion, so immediately you feel that compassion right away, and you feel that you're connected to her. Some people use the B to recite her name. Some people use the finger. For each finger, you breathe in and breathe out, and you recite her name. And if you're not familiar, you just recite the great beings that you feel connected to, that you feel that the compassion can cultivate. At our monastery, we have the statue of Avalokiteshvaraya, about 22 feet tall, 7 meters. Yeah. I don't know, any of you had been to Panama Monastery, and she's standing on about 10 feet platform, so that raise a little bit higher, so that make her like 33 feet tall. And we were lucky from that the statue is unshakable when we go through the micro hurricane with this wind gusts with 165 miles per hour. Yeah. And there were 3 large oak trees behind the statue, but luckily all those 3 large oak trees fall in different direction. And I remember after the hurricane, our town, was devastated, and we received a lot of help from other states. And I remember, like in the noontime, all the policemen and even the women too came in, and just only place they can feel the sanctuary spot is Valokiteshvaraya garden. And they sat there and meditate. And the rest of the place was like, are probably over 20 acres. So you can imagine a lot of oak trees, a lot of pine trees, hundreds and hundreds. And they've all uprooted and damaged. And the only place that doesn't have much is in Valokiteshvaraya, because it's falling in different direction. So it's give it the path to walk out there. Interesting. I still have those folders. And I think we posted on our website. So you see the energies of love, even when, or the energies of compassion, when it's something like a storm like that, misfortune like that come into our life, the compassion energy can cover it, can seal us from, or can protect us from that accident, that misfortune. And as I was saying, Avalokiteshvaraya attained her Bodhisattva, Buddhahood, is because she practiced deep listening. So the first element to cultivate compassion is to practice deep listening. If you don't practice, or if we don't have capacity to listen, we cannot love. We cannot love ourselves, or we cannot love others. Because we're not listening to their cries, or our cries. We're not listening to our problem or their problem. So the first thing is the practice of deep listening. It's very important. And we can start by practicing deep listening to our body first. And if we can listen to our body, then we can listen to other elements. Is that right? If you cannot listen to your body, how can you listen to your mother, to your father, to someone else? You can't, because you don't have that energy, the capacity of love in you in order to listen. Maybe you can listen to something that's faithful, something that you like to listen, someone who's praised you, someone who will give you something, who admire you, who validate you. That's no effort to listen. But listen to the pain and the criticism of others is not easy if you don't practice deep listening in your daily life as a practice. So let's start with our body. How do we listen to our body in such a way that we can cultivate compassion? We can start by listening with our body with the eyes. With the eyes. Our eyes see forms. And when we see forms, and if we don't listen with what we see with our eyes, we might see it in not the true way. We might see something wrong, because our mind at that moment, or our body at that moment, can be weak, can be distracted, can be suffer, can be have the wrong perception if we seeing something because it's reflecting our past. So if we look at something, we want to practice deep listening. If that's what we are looking at, let's start with ourselves. When we look into a mirror and wake up, is this the person that you are satisfied? Is this the person that needs to be cared? This is the person that identifies who you are. And maybe when you wake up and you're in good health condition, you might say, "Oh, I look pretty today. You know, I'm satisfied with how I look in today." But what about when you woke up and you look at a mirror and you was in pain, or someone had said something about you, or you had watched something and you had listened to something that is damage to your thinking. Maybe you're not satisfied. But the person that you're looking at now with that idea is not truly who you are. You're looking at someone. You look at something. And so your mind is not as true at that moment. So even if you are satisfied with yourself, you want to take that moment to pause and look deeply in yourself. And when you look deeply into yourself, you will accept who you are. And you will change the way that you think is right for you. It will tell you, because you at that moment, you have compassion yourself, and because you have compassion within yourself, and you practice deep listening, you see it the right way. You see your true self, not the self of yesterday or not the self of tomorrow. And when you're looking at someone and you're not satisfied, but look deeply in her, in him. And when you look deeply in her and him, that unsatisfied, that person is no longer appear in your form, in your eye, but rather the kindness and the understanding that you have with that person. Therefore, you see the person in true way. And we practice like that in all life. So don't hesitate when you look at something, and just look merely and then not even pay attention. But everything we do, we train ourselves look deeply. Even when our daughter come to us and present her artwork, "Mother, what do you see in my artwork?" And if you have compassion and you practice this listening, you will look deeply and you will tell her, "It's lovely." And with that love, when that deep listening, and you look at her artwork, the daughter will feel happy and satisfied, and who know the daughter have other creative, make the art look better. So someone who come to you, take a moment and look deeply in that objects. When we listen, we don't just listen with the sounds like our ear, but we practice deep listening with the sound that we listen in this ear. What kind of sound this person is trying to give? Like for example, when I sat there and I listened to the father and the daughter was playing the piano and saxophone, I tried to listen, what kind of message that he is presenting in his energies. And at that moment, I felt the father and son was completely after everything and just want to play the song to everyone who can hear it. Does not care if people is talking or walking around or not paying attention, but their intention was just merely want to put all the energy, love into this room. So if you listen like that, you can hear God's message that this person is giving. So even when we listen to our radio or television, don't listen to our naked ear, but we practice deep listening, and to find whether that news is right or wrong, or it's false or true. Because not all news or all message that we listen on TV or radio is true. Even might be appear true, but true is not 100%. So we need to use our deep listening so that our compassion and understanding can tell us whether that news or what is true or not. So it won't condemn and harm our mind and affect our mind. When we smell something, we have to practice deep listening in the odor that we smell. Because if you don't practice deep listening to the odor that we smell, or the fragrance that we smell, we might misinterpret the odor that we smell. This happened. This happened. And so, for example, when you're hungry and you smell something, and you automatically you want to chase after that smell, and that can be dangerous. But when you practice deep listening to your smell, this is not the smell I like to have at this moment because it's midnight. It's a time for me to be asleep and rest. Because you practice deep listen, which you know. I have a student, a lay student. After he take refuge in 3-2 and he practiced 5 mindfulness training, and so he become a vegetarian right away. Mm-hmm. So it was very hard for him. He struggled. So as he driving home from work, he smelled something like a barbecue. He smelled like a barbecue flavor. So he chased after that. Did you lose the temptation of wanting to have a meat flavor? So he changed to the smell. Get what he found out? It was not barbecue. It was a tire burning. That's ring a bell. That was awakened, and from there on, he had no desire barbecue flavor, no at the meat flavor. So he had become a vegetarian for 8 years. So sometimes we have to have that kind of strong awakening to smell and wake us up. But we have to be mindfulness. So he was aware that he should have this, thinking of temptation of this flavor, but because he want to see it himself. But that's when he found that it was not barbecue, but it was rather than a tire. Or when we taste a flavor, we have to practice deep listening. Because, some people are very picky, and so we lose the chance to take all flavor of food. And anyone here is picky in eating good. But when we eat something, we have to listen to our tongue. Otherwise, we might overconsume the food that we eat, and we might poison our body. Or we might miss the opportunity to take taste this healthy food. We know healthy food is absent of oil and sugar, right? In most nutrition study, they would say if you eat with less seasoning and less oil and sugar, that's a way to practice eating healthy. Yeah. At our monastery, our practice eating most of the food we cook at the monastery for the monastic resident, we mostly use salt, and we use apple broth or pineapple broth to make it sweet, or use pineapple as a substitute for sugar. So like if we make a tofu and we want a tablespoon of tofu, then we put a pineapple and put a little salt in it, and it tastes delicious. And let's say if we want something that is crunchy, then we just bake it. And then for someone or taste buds, it takes 3 to 6 months to change. If you're not familiar with eating healthy, and now you want to shift to eating healthy, please be patient with yourself. 3 to 6 months. And eventually your tongue's, your taste bud will adapt to a new flavor. And the flavor that you should start familiar with is vegetable, steamed vegetable first. We have Thich Thanh Dieu, who is in her 80s, and she's almost starting this year, or now almost 2 years, as she's only eats vegetable, no rice. But rice is for our tradition, it's like the main meal, right? But for her, she's only started eating vegetable, steamed vegetable. And she's very healthy too, working in a yard. And for her, it's not so hard to change because she's been vegetarian over 40 years. But for you, we want eating healthy, just be patient with your taste buds. And if you eat with just vegetable, you will feel, if you choose and you listen to every spoon you put in your mouth and you choose carefully, you will feel the taste of that's vegetable. And it's quite interesting, even on one piece of toast. So you practice eating by listening to your tongue. That's where you can cultivate compassion. The next thing you practice, deep listen to your body when you contact something. When someone contacts you, or when you are contacted an object, listen to that object. What is trying to tell you? If this object is sensitive to your body, if this object is a form of love that's sent to you, if this object is it's too much for you right now, you have to feel that. You have to listen in order to feel that object. So sometimes when someone came to you and give you a hug, for example, and if you don't listen to the body, you might not be aware of that hug that person's giving to you, or someone holding your hand. You have to feel that energies. Or maybe that person is holding your hand, but he's not or she's not mindfulness. But if you listen to the hand, you can transmit that mindfulness, that compassion to that person listening, that holding your hands. And in a minute when you listen and you transfer your mindfulness and love into that person's hand, and you will see the energy change in that moment. And the fifth way of listening is listen to your mind. Always listen to your mind. How are you feeling at this moment? What kind of idea, notion, speculation is arising in your mind? Because if you don't listen to your mind, you will act out the way that your mind is forming. That's what they're called mental formation. Our mind forms a shape, some kind of form before it acts out. Like for example, if we don't listen and we feel angry, well in that moment it's forming anger in our mind. And if we don't listen, it will act out according to whatever is forming. Like for example, if we are mad at that person and we want to, our minds form, want to punch that person, for example, or punch something to release anger. And then if we don't listen, then we act out immediately. Because that's how we feel it's releasing our energies, our negative energies. So we have to listen. So let's say our mind is confused by the ideas and by someone label us. And so we kind of believe what they say about us is true. Without listening, then we lose ourselves, we lose our identity. But when we listen to ourselves, and someone who says something about us, and we listen to the mind, in our mind, about ourselves, and we will see that this is not true, this is not right. And if it's right, in the right way, and I had nothing to say about, but something is not right in the right way, then we can find a way to transform that. So we don't let it stay in our alleviate consciousness or stored consciousness so that it will act out someday. So important that we listen to our mind all the time. Whatever is forming in this mind, we have to listen. Otherwise, we act out in our action, in our speech, and we lose ourselves. So as we practice in the mind, we practice sitting straight, and we give ourselves 5 to 15 minutes or 30 minutes a day to establish our sitting posture, sitting anywhere, any place that we can find calm and peace, so that we can have this 100% absence of everything around us and just listen to our mind and see what kind of ideas it's raising. We have to be attentive. We need not to judge. We need not to ignore or to hold on to it, but we just need to observe with compassion, with deep listening, to see how the mind is rising. Then it will show us the way to change it. Because when we are at peace, we cultivate compassion, we cultivate understanding, and therefore it gives us a solution how we can change the way our mind at that moment. If our mind is at that moment is peace, we continue to cultivate peace. If our mind at that moment is upset, hurt, angry, then it will change. It will help us to transform that anger, the suffering that we go through at that moment. So I only share you some of few practice of deep listening. Of course, there is many ways in our practice that we can do to cultivate compassion, but the fundamental practice is practice of deep listening. If you cannot practice deep listening, it will be hard to practice mindfulness. It will be hard to practice gratitude, and it will be hard to practice of giving of good action. So let us today do one simple exercise, one simple practice, the practice of deep listening in order to cultivate compassion. Please start by listening to your 6 senses first. In your 6 senses is also the 6 senses outside of you. Whatever outside you is all in here. And if you want to change outside you, you change here first. Take care of yourself first. So let us motivate, inspire one another to practice deep listening to cultivate compassion. And we 15 minutes for you to ask a question. I have 45 minutes in the talk, but I think I only share 30 minutes, so we have 15 minutes to ask questions. So please, I know I give you a lot of information today. Yes.
I don't have a question. I do have a comment that I'm from Chattanooga, and I was reading the Chattanooga Times, and one article started out that there is a difference in listening and hearing, and it was about birds, and it was about the songs of the birds and the listening, but I equated it to other things of listening, and then I come in here, and here you are to tell us about listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
The question I have is, do you consider to be listening to your mind the same as keeping an open mind?
I think that's the result. Open mind is a result from deep listening. Yeah. if you don't practice deep listening, if you don't practice listening, you can't have open mind. Yeah. Because open mind needs what? Tolerance, needs patience, needs wisdom, needs the compassion. Because otherwise you shut everyone down. Is that right? Yes.
I have a couple of questions. I know you're vegetarians at the monastery. Do you eat dairy? And my other question is, do you teach Tai Chi at the monastery?
We don't completely eat dairy daily, but whatever someone who bought like yogurt, I don't drink milk, so that we eat yogurt. Yeah, so that's one thing, and we also eat cake. So so we're not completely vegan, but yes. We have a qigong. I do a guided qigong every day. That's actually one of our daily schedules. And we wake up 4 o'clock and we do a sitting meditation at 5:15 with Sangha. And after the sitting meditation, we do chanting and we do qigong. In the summer, we start with the qigong early because it's hot. But after our chanting, that's when we do a qigong. So another form of Tai Chi. And if you're interested in doing this qigong, please come on Saturday, October 18th, from 8:30 to 25th. That Bob had made announcement. Yeah, so please come.
I make yogurt from soy milk,
We're vegans.
Yeah.
so we'll bring you some
Wonderful.
soy milk yogurt.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if you get up at 4 a.m. every day,
Mhm.
what time is bedtime?
10.
So 6 hours of sleep?
Sometimes you go 9, sometimes you go 9 too. Because we end our chanting at 9 o'clock.
So just 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah, but we have like a noble silent at 1 o'clock, from 1 to 2:30.
But we can rest.
Yes, we can rest, yeah. And you thought that we don't have enough sleep, but every day in our practice, we always remind ourselves practice mindfulness, compassion. And so we do things slowly, we do things with gracefully and, mindfully. So actually we are resting while we're doing things. Yes.
I was wondering, a lot of times when I'm trying to deep listen, I get distracted by this mind chatter that kind of goes on in my head and distracts me from being able to be present and with the person that I'm with. How do you tame that mind chatter?
That's a good question. So earlier, I'm not sure you pay attention. When you listen, you just, whatever ideas or notion appear, you just need to be aware. Don't chase after it or don't push it away. Or don't hold, attach it. But just let it be edited. So whatever the noise and idea that form in your mind, just breathe and look, see what is performing. What is it trying to lead you? What is telling you? You just need to be aware and just come back to breathing. And at that moment, you just need to be aware of your breathing. And in time, it will slowly lose that distraction, that chatter. But if you sit or you close your eye and you see all these ideas forming, all different ideas randomly pop up, and you chase after it, when they say go get cookie, you will go get cookie. No, watch new, you go, whoa, watch new, you go chase after that. And then forever you will be slave to your ideas, to that notion. So rather than you say, okay, so you want a cookie, I see. Okay. So you want to get up and watch the news, okay, I see. Come back to your breathing. You just want to go to the beach, I see, okay. Just come back to the breathing. You just need to recognize. Recognize and just let it perform at its own will. Don't do anything. Yes. Yes.
I have a question. It's a different kind of mind chatter. When I want to relax and I start deep listening to my thoughts, sometimes there's too many thoughts that like they all come randomly into my mind, etc. can you share your favorite technique of clearing your mind? Because I find when I have no thought, I can relax a lot better.
Yeah, so it's back to the same thing. Thoughts or general or any ideas that arise, you just need to recognize it. And you just come back. And sometimes you have to focus one thing. If that's so hard for you, then you focus on thing. You might focus on your breath. You might focus on a name of great beings that you recite. Like for example, we evoke Valokiteshvaraya name. We can evoke the Bodhisattva name. We can focus on phrases, the wonderful phrases. We can focus on some sort of a good passage that we want to contemplate. So maybe to order, there's a technique that we might use form first, ideas first. If that just come back to your breathing is so hard for you, and just aware of the thoughts that arise on its own nature, then maybe you can do something else, like using your finger, press it like this, and breathe in and breathe out. Press another finger, breathe in and breathe out. And take moments just breathing and breathe out. And you have to remember this, when you do something, when you do one action, the other action disappears.
Okay.
And that will go away. Because our mind can only focus for one thing. Unless we are struggling wanting, everything ourselves. We want to think about the idea, but we also want to focus on mindful breathing, then we'll cause conflicts there. But we are clearly saying that we want our mind to be clear. We want to get content with our body and mind. Then we just need to focus on our breathing, and it's just by breathing in and breathing out. And again, if breathing in and breathing out is hard, use our finger. Breathe in, or read some kind of passage that we are familiar, or mantra that we're familiar with, or a name of the Buddha, a name of Jesus that we are familiar with. We can recite that person, the great being's name, and then we forget and come back to that. Yeah, when our mind's absent, we feel very pleasant and we feel very peace. And that's the idea of practice meditation. Yeah. Anyone? Any question? So if no question, let us end our brief sound of the bell. Thank you very much for your listening. Thank you. And let us end with the sound of the bell. So may this sound of the bell help us come back to your true self, cultivate compassion and understanding. May we send our energies of compassion and understanding to all beings, to our loved ones, to ourselves. Thank you. Oh, nice.
Susie.